Star Wars Outlaws. How is it? Well, after that clip you just watched, you're probably expecting this to be a normal review for this game because everybody wants to shit on it or call it mid or something like that. I take that back, I guess, unless you're IGN or some of these other ones that's giving it like really high scores. But overall, I actually kind of enjoyed this game. Star Wars Outlaws, for the most part, I quite enjoyed. I actually just think it's a game that struggles in certain areas. Before we get started with the review, I want to add that as a Star Wars fan, I'm not the modern Star Wars fan today that you see, so don't expect me to call everything woke or DEI or whatever made-up term has been made up today. I'm a sci-fi fan, a Star Wars fan, and Star Wars is what I grew up with. My dad actually showed me episodes 4, 5, and 6. I believe around the time of episode 3's release. What a fucking bombshell that was. I was like, there's more? I thought that was it. And, you know, we watched the Clone Wars together, stuff like that. And so Star Wars means a lot to me. And, you know, even when you sit over there and look, like, there's a bunch of projects today I just really don't like especially some of the movies, a few of the shows, stuff like that. But once again, I'm not going to shout to the rooftops like many others I see, saying I dislike it for viewership. You know, that means I went into this game blind. Like, I didn't sit there and go, oh man, you know, I'm hating it before it comes out because you, like, I don't care. Like, I just want a good story. I want decent gameplay since the game. You know, like I said, if it's a movie or something like that I don't like, if I don't like it, I call it a day. That's kind of it. I'm not going to bitch about it for years and never let it go. And with that, you know, I saw so many other people day one bash it before they even played it. A lot of people bash it in the comments, and they haven't even played this game, and so they assume it's garbage, etc. And so I just want you to know that this review is going to be as honest as you really want. If you are coming to this review because you're like, hey, I need to hear somebody that's just not gonna, you know, be fully biased before they even played it, that's me. So I am going to talk about both positive and negative. Let's go and get into the review. Star Wars Outlaws is an Ubisoft game. An Ubisoft game where they claim that it's the first open world Star Wars game where you play as a Han Solo type of character. First things first, I want to say that clearly this is the first open world Star Wars game, and this game is more open zone. And even flying from planets is pretty much a loading screen. And in some cases, it really does cut on the loading screen, which is kind of weird. It's not a space or open space simulator like one hoped or was promised. The second thing I want to take from that statement is that in none of the 19 hours I played this game did I feel like K-Vest was anywhere near Han Solo as a character. Star Wars Outlaws does the weird thing that some open world games tend to do, and that is making a boring opening sequence. So unlike taking a note from Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2, or even a more recent game like Ghost of Tsushima, this game just takes a minute to get going. You learn all the mechanics and take your sweet time getting to the story jump off point. This leads to my main problem of the game. The main story itself is overall decent, but I don't think it's Oscar worthy or anything like that. But I do feel like it would have played out better in a movie or TV show. Basically, K-Vest gets kidnapped by the main villain after a heist gone wrong. And because she was able to get into the vault that he has, she gets recruited to build a team by a man named Jalen Brax. This is where characters like the droid on the cover of the game show up, named ND5, who, you know, kind of my MVP of the game, if we're being honest. ND5 is a fucking champ. Love him so much. And now we're going to get into a major problem I have with the game. Where the fuck is he? Characters like ND5, you know, as you recruit your team, it leads to a huge gap between the teams. So, for example, if you choose to get a Tatooine last, and then the person that you recruit will only be on your ship for a shorter period than the rest of the team. But despite saying all this, all the side characters are also pretty lackluster. ND5 is awesome, and I love his dialogue as he talks to you as you traverse each planet. That being said, outside of a mission that pertains to him that I think is like in DLC. Like if you get like the Gold Edition or Season Pass, something like that, it's a Jabba the Hutt mission. I don't think it's worth being in the Season Pass because that mission, I promise you, is 15 fucking minutes. I expected this shit to like take me to multiple planets, doing this and that. I expect this bitch to at least be an hour. I promise you, I think I farted and it passed by. So, you know, he never joins you outside physically. No one from the team actually does. You can talk with him on the ship, but even then it's the same dialogue. It makes him seem pretty boring and lifeless, and just overall being the main goal to push the narrative. But the last 5 to 6 hours, though, they got me here, okay? Really hammered some good ideas overall, and I pretty much loved it. The final few missions almost made me forget some of the other half of the game, story-wise, because it's so damn good. Knocks it out of the park in so many areas, letting you sink your teeth into the overall Star Wars fantasy. And this is unlike many recent Star Wars games, if I'm being honest. A lot of the times, like for example, like for me, Survivor, actually not Survivor, but Jedi Fallen Order and some of these other games, I feel like they really have the huge heights at the beginning, intro sequences, and then the rest of the gameplay. But actually, I take that back. I guess in Survivor, the main villain just really wasn't captivating me. You know, that main boss fight, I feel like there was other boss fights, especially if you played Survivor. You know what boss fight I'm talking about. That's way better than the final boss fight. And so I feel like in this game, even though it doesn't have bosses, I feel like the mission as a whole, that final 5-6 hours is just, it's awesome. It's like some Ocean's 11 shit, and I really loved it. I wish the whole game would have been like this, but I digress. Next, we have gameplay, which is something I actually quite enjoy. I heard many complaints about gunplay, combat, and the overall gameplay loop being mediocre. I can agree with the shooting. It doesn't go for that Battlefront 2 gunplay, and more of a boring / less powerful combat system that I wish was better, but the overall gameplay loop I actually loved. Now, I can admit that if you dislike stealth games, this might not be for you. You know, stealth segments are prevalent in almost every other mission is stealth-based. Now, this isn't like a Splinter Cell, unfortunately, but I heard a lot of Mary Jane comparisons. It's not like that either. It's kind of like in the middle. For me, it didn't get on my nerves, but it's not like an auto-fail thing. Like, certain times when you get caught, you'll restart certain segments, but I never had a point where I started a certain area again. Now, as of recording this, right before I looked up some reviews just to see like what some of my favorite people said about the game. And once again, it seems like most people didn't agree with me as far as liking it. But one of the main complaints I saw people having was saying they restarted all the way at the beginning. I never had that happen, so I don't know if that's like before the day one patch or something like that, so I can't really comment on that. But for me, you just restart a segment. So if I went through a door, walked for about 2-3 minutes and got caught, I'd restart those 2-3 minutes, but I wouldn't restart the whole mission. So if that kind of puts that in perspective to you, like if you watch the reviews, then you kind of know what I'm talking about. Now, you know, it makes sense to a certain degree. Also, these stealth segments are in the game because a lot of the sections that take place are on Empire bases. And so, you know, this is why I love Nick, your little companion that joins you in the game, because he can open doors for you, attack people, do all kinds of crazy shit. You know, I felt it over my 19 hours of gameplay that I grew closest with him, because there's like a little eating mini game where you can get certain upgrades and apply that to Nick's. And outfits even increase things such as health or damage for K. And so I really like how they did the upgrade system and stuff like that. And that leads to the next thing I love, you know, the syndicates. So in this game, you have 4 factions, being the Pikes, Hutts, Crimson Dawn, and the Akiva clan. In the game, you can take an odd job such as stealing data, smuggling, ship, stealth missions, or even combat missions to complete a goal for each faction. For example, I maxed out the Akiva clan pretty much like in the opening of the game, which led to me getting an outfit that helped in increasing my health over time during combat. Meanwhile, I had the Crimson Dawn faction at the lowest tier, meaning that certain places I couldn't enter because they hated me. That's why I really love the open world. Each planet has cantinas and people to talk to and get quests and jobs. You know, you help the Hutts steal intel and piss them off because the Pikes paid me more to give them more info. I wish the game was more of this because it truly, you know, isn't really influenced by these choices. You know, sure, I pissed off the Crimson Dawn, but it basically just means I can't shop in their districts, which means nothing because I never really cared to do or buy anything unless it was a speeder or a ship upgrade, which those are helpful, by the way. The open worlds of each planet isn't just jobs, though. The game offers gambling on the alien horse races, or even playing something like Sabacc the card game, which I actually really love, not gonna lie. When you get into the full explanation of the game, which I'm not going to get into now because I promise you I'll be here for an hour, it's very addicting, and it's worth it to finish the quest line. There's a nice little cameo there, really like that. I like how they handle the cameos. I thought that was kind of nice. Overall, I enjoyed my quest with the game. Sure, does the team not really feel like a team? Yeah. But the game does a good job of setting up some quest lines that I actually quite enjoyed story-wise. So, such as the main mission where I chose the leader of the Aquila clan and who to betray. While I wished it was more impactful, I still quite enjoyed that storyline. Ship combat's basic. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was super complex. You shoot and have missiles, etc. If you've done it once, you've done it a million times. I do think the flying feels tight and overall good, but I didn't spend much time in the air unless it was on a mission. So I can't really say much time, outside of that, just being fine. I'd say out of my 19 hours, probably in the ship around an hour and a half, maybe less, honestly. Exploring each planet is rich and beautiful, adding to the fact that you can explore and discover things, such as getting add-ons for your blaster or speeder or even ship. Missions being designed like an old-school Xbox 360 game brought joy to me. I can see why some people might not like it, but once again, I enjoyed it. I honestly hate that I can't give this game an outright recommendation or a high score because while I enjoyed my time with it, I'm not going to sugarcoat the problems as mentioned before. The game had bugs in the early first 3 hours. That was for me, though. Outside of that, I didn't have any more bugs or glitches, but they still exist. And I feel like Ubisoft and Massive Games could have polished the game even more. It's clunky, has problems, but I feel like it counts where it's needed. And this isn't me being biased. Once again, that's why I said I can't fully recommend it to you. I really don't think you should get this game at the full price, but I do think personally, I don't think I wasted my money. I really enjoyed the game. I really loved it. And, I feel like, even though it's clunky, going to a snowy planet and eating outside, running away from the huts and being a scoundrel, all that was awesome. And in the words of, our Lord, Papa Bethesda, it just works. So Cave S ends up being a fantastic character that takes you on a fantastic journey if you can overcome the game's clear flaws. I was initially skeptical on Outlaws, but now after 19 hours, I'm hoping for a more polished sequel because I'd love to see the way this journey can continue. And final thought, I say you should play this game if you like Ubisoft games or Star Wars or both. But if neither of those really tick your box, I'm going to say that you should wait for a sale, at least try it out. And if none of those, like for example, if any space games don't hit you, and if you really didn't like the last two Jedi games, which are like a lot better in this game, I just really feel like you shouldn't play this game for sure. But if you're like me and you enjoyed the stuff that I told you that I enjoyed, what are you doing here? Go pick it up. If not, go play Astrobot this week because that looks fucking awesome. And with that, guys, thank you for watching another review. I'm going to try to have more of these out. Later on today, I will be playing Frank Stone, the little Dead by Daylight spin-off game. And then later on this week, Astrobot and Warhammer comes out. So I'm hoping I have reviews on that. And if you want to stick around to the channel for some of my movie reviews, this weekend we're watching Front Room and Beetlejuice. So if you want to stick around for those, please like and subscribe for more. And I will catch you guys on the next one.
Don't have it.
You let your feelings get in the way of the score.